So welcome to this game, last game of the day at the 2024 World Bowls Indoor Championships in Guernsey. This one today is Tayla Bruce against Cindy Royal. Tayla Bruce from New Zealand, Cindy Royet from France. So looking forward to a good game. Tayla has played really well, and Cindy's put in some good performances. But Tayla's, you would say, would be the favourite for today. So I'm joined by Alan Thornhill in the commentary box in the rabbit hutch. So thanks for joining us, Alan.
No problem. Good to be here this evening. In for a good game, I think. Taylor's the current world outdoor champion from the Gold Coast last year. So, as you say, Ian, I think probably the favourite for this game. But Cindy is no stranger to the rink and playing competitive play. Aggressive player.
So first end to Tayla, took a 2. We'll get onto the ladder on that. So you arrived a bit early, Alan. What have you been around at all? Thought you'd get outside sightseeing a little bit.
Yeah, so we flew in on Friday, I think it was. It's a long distant memory now. Flew in on Friday. Had a bit of an afternoon to ourselves, and then Saturday we started off with a meeting with the excellent markers that we've been using for this event, and then a bit of a free day. Thank you for the loan of the car.
That's all right.
Little wander around the island, see the sights, and then straight into the players' meeting and opening ceremony on Saturday night. And then it's been sort of Groundhog Day every day, really.
Always is.
Yeah, but some great play throughout the first few days of this event this week. I have no idea what day it is. I think it's Wednesday.
Yes. I had to do a double take then. Yeah, it's always difficult with these events, very intensive. And well, it's a question I've asked the players before the sessions, but I can ask you the same. So you sort of have some time on, some time off. So what do you do with your downtime? You know, do you have long enough off in between?
Yeah, generally. I mean, there's 4 of us working at this event, and we've scheduled our rota slightly different to the play schedule, just to get some consistency here. So we're working 2-hour shifts. 2 hours on the rink, 2 hours off. So yeah, we do get a little bit of downtime, just to relax, chill out, have a wander around, get some fresh air. Not a great deal of time to get out onto the island, but we're just in and around the venue. I mean, it's a great setup here. we've got a bit of a table tennis next door we've been watching, and next door we've got the indoor football and a nice cafe, so there's plenty to do when we're off. And the boring stuff like checking emails.
Yeah, those never go away. So really good tight one there from Tayla. Dropped a couple short. So if you're listening to us now, you found us on World Bowls Facebook Live or World Bowls YouTube or the Guernsey Indoor Bowling YouTube. We are also running Rink 5 as a static Rink 2 as a static camera rink. That will be England against Isle of Man, so you can keep an eye on that one. And there's no commentary on there, but if you're interested in your fellow countrymen or just want to keep an eye on the players, you'll be able to watch that one. Looks like we've got a delivery of refreshments, so we better make the most of those. So Cindy got second wood. Taylor couldn't quite get in again. So a bit over from Cindy. So it's still going to be 1 to Taylor. So you were at the Gold Coast. Was it Gold Coast last year?
Yes, 23 Gold Coast World Outdoor Championships they were. Yeah, huge event. We're using 5 different venues for that one. So it's great to watch Tayla progress through that and lift the gold medal in the ladies singles for that. So a highly talented player. She's been around a few years now, 2015, 2016. But yeah, really dominating now the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, it's a name that, as you say, a few years ago, I hadn't heard of her so much, but come onto the team more recently. Being from New Zealand, possibly shadowed very slightly by Jo Edwards, so that's the name you heard more. But she's been playing for the Kiwis for a little while now.
Yeah, and Jo still very much active, or has been up until recently. So good mentorship there for Tayla, and the young squad coming through from New Zealand as well. And of course, the men's competitor here is Shannon McElroy. I had the honour of marking his gold medal match in the 2016 World Final Outdoor. A superb player.
You say the date 2016, it sounds a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, feels like it.
It's amazing how these events just tick along, but it shows just how long you've been involved officiating at this level.
Yeah, 2002 was the first real big international event at the Manchester Commonwealth Games. I've been plodding along ever since, onto my 6th Commonwealth Games in 22 in Birmingham, where I was honoured to be the chief technical official for that. And a few world outdoor events as well. I've been very fortunate, Ian, travelling around the world. It's not many sports you get to travel around the world like I have, so I've been really honoured.
Correct, and that's the thing about bowls. It is truly international. We're fortunate, and you might say some of the other countries are fortunate, but we're Guernsey are classified as a country, so we get to travel to these big events. But if you compare it to something like football or whatever, where you really have to be, there's a sort of, we'll call it an elite, but it's a very tiny number that get to go away. We have a sort of, it's similarly the elite that get to go away, whether it's England or Scotland, wherever it might be. But we do get those opportunities, which is always very good.
And I think the important thing, Ian, is you're competing on the world stage against the very big countries, the likes of Australia, New Zealand, the home countries. You're competing equally with them and being hugely successful. And have been for a number of years, and that's quite unusual for such a small island with not that many members. So it's testament to the quality of play that you guys have got.
Yeah, we've had a few elite players over the years, so yeah, we were always proud of our sort of our heritage, but the ones who stand out. So Taylor's sent some good ones down, holding a few. Wonder if Cindy will be down through it, trying to disturb the head. Certainly playing with weight. Well played, took two away.
Yeah, Cindy's never afraid of attacking. Quite an aggressive player. It's great to see the French, the young French team coming through. They've been around for a few years now. Certainly made their mark at the Atlantic Championships in 2019. Very athletic, very professional in their approach to the games, and the results are showing. And why she's up against a world-class player here, we would expect her to do pretty well in her style of play.
Yeah, you can see how they've come along since they started.
Yeah, and they're all. I believe Cindy's a hugely talented pétanque player.
Measure for shot.
I believe she's a world record holder in some aspects of that sport. So we had great fun watching them in Cardiff at the Atlantic Championships. There was a pétanque court just adjacent to the Bowls Club, and they were taking on the locals and certainly showing their skills, and it was quite interesting to watch. But they're hugely talented at those sort of ball sports related to bowls. Quite a nice setup in France now with a multi-sport stadium that they've got there now with lawn bowls and pétanque and other like-minded sports. So very professional setup.
So if you're interested, we've got live scoring on all the other rinks. You can get it from the World Bowls website or the Guernsey Bowling website. You can find that live scoring, follow the various rinks. There's always a number going on at the same time. We do try and keep you updated. They are at different places on the day though, so it's getting a bit more difficult to sort of follow all the different games. But we'll read some scores out. I might challenge Alan and his flags and get him to call out the countries. Nervous look there.
As long as you don't ask me to do any languages.
Well, we were debating whether to do a few words in French.
It's a long time ago since I did O-level French, so we'll try and avoid that if we can. I struggle to speak English sometimes.
So far, Tayla Bruce, she's played 3-1-3, done really well. Cindy played 3-1-1, so she's done well to where she is. She is fourth in the group. but if she did manage to get another win, could probably get up to third. So she's still got all to play for. And Cindy, she played Canada to start with, went down on that one, and as we know, Taylor's won all of hers, so she beat Jamaica to start with, and then second round, Tayla played Botswana, beating that one, and so Cindy beat Jamaica, and then round 3, New Zealand played Macau, China, so another win for Tayla. And Botswana beat France in that occasion. So mixed bag for Cindy, but all to play for. Well played, Taylor, certainly putting Cindy under pressure.
Should be a straightforward draw here for Cindy. Can't see her playing weight to this. It's not a great target. No, she got a result there. She did play weight to it.
Just arrived to it, yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry.
So trust the old tape out. And players are allowed to measure, they don't have to. And if they agree, fine. If they don't agree, call on the trusty ITOs, of which you are on the ITO. I'll say the board, but what's your position on the ITOs?
Yeah,
Alan?
so I'm chair of the laws, World Bowls Laws Advisory Group, which basically administer the ITO process, the International Technical Official Process. So we accredit officials around the world to that level, and those officials are selected for world events.
So are you, when you say the laws committee, so how does the law change then in World Bowls? What's the process?
So generally the cycle has traditionally been around every 4 years where a review's been conducted, but that's kind of slowing down, and we don't do it quite so often now because there's very few sort of recommendations coming through for changes. But the process is governed national member authorities of World Bowls, so that's the national countries would submit any proposals to World Bowls, and then they would be considered on a cycle. And we debate them, debate the changes, debate the implications of the change, and decide if they're worthy taking forward. If they are, then we'll conduct a full review that will eventually go back to each member authority to approve, and then we get a change to the laws. So it's in terms of a general in-depth review, it's quite a lengthy process, takes probably about a year. But for small amendments, we tend not to publish new sets of laws that frequently, but for small amendments, if there's something drastically wrong, then we can introduce those fairly quickly. Most of the questions we get coming in are really about interpretations of existing laws and just ensuring that the understanding of the wording is there.
Yeah, well, it's exactly that, the interpretation. There was a more controversial one.
Thanks for mentioning that one.
It's only as soon as you said it, it reminded me. So that more controversial one, that I can't remember how long that was in, but was it at the end of last year it was rescinded?
Yeah,
Is that the best way to say it?
Barely lasted the season. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's it was introduced for sound reasons. It was a proposal that was made. It was reviewed. It was considered along with many other changes that we considered. It was introduced, but actually the implications of it in practical terms didn't really work. And I think for whatever reason, we can take the rap for the wording perhaps not being as robust as it needed to be to ensure that people understood what the intention of it was. It was essentially introduced to prevent a player from displacing one of their team's own bowls to gain an advantage. But what we found was that, and actually the penalty for that was forfeit of the game, so it was quite a harsh penalty. And I think the wording probably wasn't quite as robust as it should have been. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we actually rescinded it earlier last year, I think, 23. So yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. But I'm glad you brought it up, Ian. Thanks for putting me on the spot on that one.
It's like everything, all rules, all laws, tax laws, whatever they might be. You get somebody setting the rules, you'll get somebody else trying to work out how to beat those rules. As you say, interpretation. So they'll look at it and say, well, if I interpret it this way and try and argue that point, then I can do this. So yeah, it's always difficult. I'm not saying it's an easy job, and the fact, well, that's the only one that I know of that was rescinded fairly quick, and that's it. I've been around a year or two. I know you've been around more closely connected to the laws for longer, but the fact they don't change so, let's call it drastically, in such a short space of time, that's a credit to the laws committee. They're doing something right.
Yeah, and I think over the years we're sort of into the 4th edition now of the current laws, and over the years there's been tweaks and minor amendments and improvements to wording. And I think we have to remember that the current laws have to apply worldwide, and there's different nations playing different styles of play. There's different nations with different languages, so they have to be interpreted by anybody in those nations. So we have to consider all of that whenever we look at any changes.
Yeah, some sort of, well, exactly the language, but the interpretation. Some are more genteel, and we'll just look for the best in the law. Some less genteel. So that was another 3 for Tayla. Played well. She's certainly making Cindy work hard. Which Tayla was a favourite, as Alan said. Won World Championship last year. Try and get the year right. So she was on the form book, always likely to be on top. So for the ITOs then, well bowled Cindy. Very good one. So for the ITOs, Alan, you sort of there's a process then, because we have umpires around the world, whether it's through a county or state or whatever it might be called in the various countries, through to a national, and then what they might classify themselves as international, if you want to call it that. But for these, like this championships here, there's 4 ITOs who are representing World Bowls, and I know you have, and I don't know how many, but 50, 60 for example.
Yep.
So how do sort of people take that next step? What do they do for that?
Yeah, you're right. Majority of countries, certainly the more developed nations, have umpiring bodies or umpiring structures within their nations. There are a lot of countries that are that don't have that sort of level of structure, and World Bowls are there to help them out with standardised umpire training and knowledge of the laws. But generally, in the more established nations, there'll be an umpiring body that will have some sort of process for people to qualify at various grades. Some just qualify and that's it. They go forward to officiating anything. But others have a progression, almost like a career progression for an umpire. And obviously we can't forget markers and the role they play as well. They do work in parallel. And once you've got a bunch of experience under your belt and are officiating at a fairly high level, probably nationally, and getting that experience, then there's the opportunity to apply for ITO status through World Bowls, and that process is an application. It's an accreditation process with law exams and practical assessments, very similar to what you would do nationally, but a little bit more intense. And then those that are successful, they will go on to the panel of ITOs around the world. And I think at the moment we're around about the 60, 70 around the world, active ITOs, and they'll be used for any World Bowls event, certainly for World Bowl Championships and Commonwealth Games, and that is solely ITO selection. And then some of the other events will be using the selection of ITO and what we would call NTO, which is a nationally graded official. So yeah, we have, because this is the World Indoor Championships, we have 4 ITOs here, me included. From that world group, we don't. They're all fairly local. We've got one from Wales, 2 from Scotland, myself from England. And so that's the structure here for this event, just 4 of us. But I think it'd be remiss of me not to mention the superb work of the markers that we have here this tournament, all from Guernsey. Fantastic group of people. We've worked hard over the years together, Ian, as well, to get them to a standard. You have your own qualifications here within Guernsey, and I've been honoured to come over and help you with that structure and get that process in place, and to see these people developing. And the example we got on the rink currently, marking this game with Tayla and Cindy, is Catherine Bonsall. An excellent advert for marking. Qualified last year, I believe, was it, when we came over? Ooh. I'm losing track of time now. 2022 maybe.
Yeah, I would say 22 to be ready for the Ireland Games in 23.
Yes, that sounds about right.
And to, any new ones that were there, give them time to just do some umpiring sessions to give them that confidence before they did the Ireland Games.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's we've been happy to have you over. It's been great. I know possibly some of us, I'll just call us more seasoned campaigners. We might have originally qualified with somebody else, but certainly been retested under yourself. So probably pretty much all of our umpires you've tested and seen the markers come through, as you say. Catherine, yeah, I've said before, she was doing one of the streaming rinks, so she's very good. And Island Games, a few times she said, "You're one down," and I looked at it and I went, "Kind of, are you sure? I'll have a measure." And then it was always right for her. So, after a few, I just went, "I won't measure." She said, "I'm one down." I say, "I'm one down," and I walk away.
So it's young eyes here. That's what it is.
It is. Well, I did say I was a bit more of a seasoned campaigner, so that's why I'm probably more likely to call it a measure, which is what I did. Ask for a measure, and I didn't win it.
And I think you're in a brilliant position over here on the island. You've got some hugely talented young players, but also they're interested in taking it a step further and becoming officials. And it's so important. We don't see that in many countries. The majority of officials that we see coming through are of seasoned campaigners, but often the older generation that don't play to a super high level, and they want to keep going in the sport, so they decide to take the umpiring qualification and become markers, and that's brilliant. But what we're seeing on the rink here and what we'll see in the next few days is some of your young talented players, but also very talented markers and officials by the same token. So it's been great working with them and helping them through, and I'd like to think partly mentoring them, but I think you guys do a really good job over here of that side of things.
Well, Cindy had 3 on there, and that's a cracking shot to move it from Tayla. We'll head back to the ditch so you can catch that. So there you go. Stayed on right at the back, stayed in the corner. That's going to be difficult for Cindy. Yeah, it's what you say about the markers. It's good that some of our good or some of the top bowlers are also interested in umpiring and officiating and helping out. But I think that goes generally for the sort of volunteer scene that we have. People, no matter what level they play at. So we do have Ali Marion, who's been on committee, recently stepped down, but she's still umpire and gets out there and marks and all that sort of stuff. So we do have players who will get stuck in, just because we've got that sort of community spirit. So it's good that everyone gets involved, and that's how we've managed to sort of put on the World Bowls, where there's we got 7 sessions a day. Yes, there's a couple of mixed pairs, but we have board markers for those. Then all the singles going out throughout the day. 6 rinks of markers going on all day long, plus the board markers that will stay out with them. Commentary team. So we've got some willing volunteers, if I call it that. Bit of a conscript that we grabbed you in, but thanks for coming in.
No, definitely. Every club member here has worked really hard to get this event here. It's a huge honour for you and the island, and that what we're going through now would not be achievable without all your volunteers. Everybody from making the tea right through to, as you say, the scoreboard turners and the markers and the umpires.
Well, that's another cracking effort from Tayla. Cindy stayed in on the edge. From our angle, it looks like it could have been close to out, but they would have checked it from the other end.
Can we just get some help with this one, please? Thank you. I don't know how
Well, lucky you're off duty, Alan.
Yeah, it's always difficult with these angles, especially in the Jackson ditch. You've got to come up and over the edge of the ditch, and it's quite deceiving sometimes. You look at a bowl and you think, yeah, that's closer, but by the time you come out the ditch, it's not. So it's always worth, when you get something like this, to just get the umpires on to measure it.
Yeah, and it's one thing. It's something you've certainly encouraged, instilled in us, and it's good to see your ITOs putting that into practice. When there's even a hint of a measure, you're like meerkats. You're poised on the end of the rink. you can see you're ready. It's kind of let me on, and but no, it's if the players want that measure, you're ready nice and quick, and it helps with the flow.
Some of us look like meerkats as well. Yeah, it is. It's all about anticipation. You know, we don't want players hanging around, especially in time games. You know, measures take long enough to get them right. So it's anticipating of things like this, and Hugh and Jackie on the rink now would have noticed that Jack go in the ditch early days, and a bit available just in case. Straight on, done the measure, get off.
Yeah, sometimes you see the players wandering around, and you think what you're doing, just you've taken so long, you could have had the measure and be finished by now, and then they call on the umpire. So I mean, less so at this level. They're all experienced players, so they're sort of more likely to have a quick look and say yes or no, or do the measure themselves if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, and as you say, you know, it's the players' right to decide the shots themselves. That's entirely their right. And you know, we're just there as the backup and the final decision if they should need us.
Yeah. So as far as the measures go, you only come on when you're bored on.
Yes. Yeah.
So good to see the people online. Thanks for tuning in. Et c'est quelques personnes en France qui ont regardé ce soir.
That was very impressive, Ian. I know you're close to France.
So shall I let you answer that one then, Alan, seeing as you've seen that first?
Yeah, we've got a question from Dale. Thanks for watching, Dale. If during an end the jack springs back towards the mat, what is the minimum distance it needs to be from the mat to continue? Well, the jack can rebound back up the rink to a minimum distance of 20 metres. That's measured from the centre of the front edge of the mat in a direct line to the jack. And it's the front edge of the jack that has to be completely past that 20 metre distance. Haven't had one of those yet this week, but we've pretty much had most things. And actually, whilst we're talking about minimum distances, we can also have a minimum distance of a bowl, either delivered or rebounded, and that is 14 metres.
So if you're looking for the website, if you just Google World Bowls, or if you Google Guernsey Indoor Bowling, you should find the websites, and from there you'll be able to get a link to the relevant events. So looking across, who else we've got? We've rinks moved, but on the other rink that is static streaming, so the one without commentary, but you can keep up to date with your relevant people. We have England versus Isle of Man. England have taken the first set, Isle of Man have taken the two in the first end of the second set. We've got Rose Oja from Guernsey, fellow compatriot, so I'll call her out, against Ireland, Sandra Bailey, just stretching up to try and see. So they tied the first set, and Sandra is 7-2 up in the second. So let's play in the last end, so that will be all over. So Sandra will take it, just got to play the last end out. And then over on the far rink, oh no, they finished. They must have finished. So that's all I can bring you. So that was Canada v Botswana. Canada took that on the tie break. So Taylor's all over this one again. Going to run for cover. Yeah, disappearing out the back, which will be by the tee. Cindy's got very little options. Probably looking to kill it. At least, even if Tayla's at the back would stay a shot, she'd at least cut the countdown. So yeah, your first your outing, you were looking for some fortifications, but sounds like you you had a bit of a guided tour.
Yeah, I mean, I love coming over here, and I've seen pretty much of the island now, most of it. And I can remember when we came over for European Championships quite a few years ago now.
Sorry.
We went on a bus tour around the island. We stopped at the German embattlements, I guess, the gun placements, and I can remember being high up on a cliff with a fantastic view. But we went out on Saturday, and I couldn't find them. I couldn't remember which road it was. Google Maps wasn't helping me too much either. But eventually we did find them after going down some pretty narrow lanes with I didn't take your wing mirrors off, so you'll be pleased with that. But they were pretty narrow lanes.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Guernsey was during the war occupied by the Germans. So the Channel Islands together were the only place in the British Isles that were occupied. The only place in the British Isles that were occupied by the Germans. So we know Europe was, but they also made it across to the Channel Islands, and it was the terminology was Festung Guernsey, so trying to make it Fortress Guernsey. That's what their aim was at the time. Like any war, it was rural at the time, so our sort of grandparents didn't want to talk about it. But as time went on, people embraced that history and now want to learn about it more. And as you yourself have been to see it, it does interest people from outside the island as well. So well played, Cindy, there. Not quite sure if it's shot, possibly. Nobody's asked, otherwise Catherine would tell us. So that game, Ireland against Guernsey, is finished. So Ireland took the last end to win 1.5 to 1/2. So I know you had a Chinese because that's where I dropped you last night. We're late. Because you were later. What was it, about 9:30 table?
Yeah, we love doing this tournament, but it's long days. It is for you guys as well, obviously, because you're covering every game. But yeah, it's long days. You do a great job of keeping us refreshed and keeping us fed with cakes, which is not doing my figure any good. But evening meals, yeah, we need to get out and get an evening meal after the games are finished, and often that's quite late. But I've got to say, Ian, all the times I've been on Guernsey, I've never had a bad meal. The food over here is superb. And the recommendation last night was to visit a Chinese restaurant on the main front, and it was probably the best Chinese I've had, actually. Really, really nice. So yeah, we're getting around to see some different restaurants, maybe a couple of pubs in between as well.
I wasn't going to say that bit.
But yeah, it's a bit painful when the alarm goes off at 6 in the morning.
Well, as you mentioned before, because we were chatting just a little bit earlier, it's more painful once you're up and about and Be careful how I say this.
Yeah.
Into the shower, not just into the bathroom. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, beautiful hotel, beautiful view out the window, but I've got no hot water in the shower, so it's a bit of a rude awakening in the morning. But having said that, I've been talking to a couple of people that are here at the venue, and they've been out swimming in the sea early morning, so hats off to them, because that's something I would never do.
Yeah, it's even more mad.
But I also, it's such a beautiful life. The one thing I can't take my eyes off over here is the colour of the sea. You know, we can sit out on the west coast there at Cobo Bay and have a cup of tea and look at the sea, because it is blue. We don't have blue seas at home for various reasons. So yeah, it's stunning. Stunning sea, stunning coastlines, and fantastic beaches as well.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's the sort of thing we take for granted. So I know certainly going back a few years, we sort of, I say a few years, good few years, but never used to appreciate it until we had people over, and then when they sort of started to say the same thing, we went, well, let's take a tourist day, and we started to go out and appreciate our own island, which you don't when you're younger.
It's so easy to get to, you know, regular flights from the UK, regular boats from the UK if you don't like flying.
Well, we got a face at the window. Well, we call it the rabbit hutch, but sometimes when you see something like that, it feels like the goldfish bowl. Martin knows I'm giving him some stick. Martin de Carteret. He same as a lot of them, but he puts in a lot of hours. So shout out to Martin. He's going to go home and get settled.
Another great player, another great official. I think it's worth saying, Ian, that you guys over here have invested a lot in the infrastructure in your club. It's a fantastic stadium here, and I think the live streaming that you've been putting on this week has been absolutely excellent. I know there's been comments about camera angles and various other bits and pieces, but knowing the venue and looking at the venue, it's very, very difficult to get anything rinkside. Because of the space allowances, and certainly with an event like this where you've got crowds sitting at the end of the rink with not a lot of space, it's very difficult to put any cameras on the end of the rink. But I think what you've got here with the ceiling cams gives a really good perspective of both ends of the rink, and you're covering two rinks. So I think, you know, it's certainly a great level of coverage that you've got here. And I think you should be congratulated for what you've put out this week.
Well, I think there's, a couple of things to that. The aim from World Bowls, not just us, was to get a number of countries on. So, when World Bowls allocated the rinks, we did split the where people would be, and therefore more chance of people being on the streaming rink. Although the second rink is a static one, so it doesn't have the commentary, obviously it's not quite going to have the same look and feel. It does enable people to keep track of the person they've got interest in, whatever that interest is, whether you follow somebody from a specific country or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I think coupled with the live scoring that we've got going on. You can see exactly what's going on each rink.
Yeah, live scoring. I think that's a shout out to Anne Easton as one of our stalwarts. She's helped out our IBC events for 20 years. I don't know how long, but maybe doing a disservice by saying at 20. It might even be more, but a long time. You've always seen her at the end of the rink, patiently watching across, getting the scores all the way. Old Tayla.
Great end there from Tayla.
Although Cindy was the one who shortened it. It was Tayla who got the better of that one. So Taylor's got support out there. So what time are we at the moment? We're 8:30 in Guernsey. 7:30 maybe.
It's about 11 hours, I think, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
10, 11 hours.
So early evening anyway. Sat on the sofa having a glass of wine, enjoying watching Taylor. So welcome New Zealand.
Certainly got off to a great start in this second set. 7-1 after 3 ends.
Lovely weights, Cindy. Just under the line.
Yeah, I think it's really, it's really difficult. Taylor's got into a rhythm now. She's drawing consistently into the jack. 4 shots on the last end. Another 2, possibly 3 coming in here. Really consistent, and it's throwing Cindy all over. She's fighting for shots now.
Yeah, exactly. When somebody's playing like that against you, you don't know what to do next. It's as you say, fighting for shots, scrambling.
I know what I do.
No, they have to play the ends. They can't walk off.
Okay. Straight to the bar.
That might be afterwards. I think we'd like to do a little interview with Cindy afterwards. Maybe in her native language. My cameraman studied a little bit in France. Admittedly, that was a few years ago, but still speaks French very well. I'll play Tayla. Just not giving Cindy a chance at all. Well, it's good to see the people about today, and for the rest of the week. Sort of can be a little bit quieter sometimes at the very end of the evening, but a lot of people milling about throughout the day. They generally go up top to the balcony, get the best view. Slight possibility because it's also nearer the bar. That might be a reason to base yourself up there, but I'll say it's because you get the best view.
Yeah, it's been some great support this week, and I think I was talking to your government official, the bailiff, earlier on before I came into commentary, and he's standing up on the balcony watching. He's been very supportive of what you've been doing here. We had a lovely opening reception at the courthouse. Not in the courthouse, but at the building.
You wouldn't have got back out
on Saturday, which he hosted very kindly. But he's a very keen supporter of the bowls, and actually he told me he was supposed to be watching the table tennis, but he was more engrossed in the games of bowls. So great to see that you've got support at a high level within the country.
Yeah, he's the states of Guernsey, our local government, have embraced the event, which is good. As you mentioned, table tennis, so that's connected. Where the table tennis play used to be 4 rinks of bowls, so we used to be 10 rinks. At a point in time, sold off those 4 and went down to 6 rinks. Still a nice venue for us, which is good. They have their Island Championships and the Channel Island Championships, so this weekend will be very busy with them playing all their events as well. So if you're on Ireland, maybe you're getting a bit late for today, but come down over the next few days. You can not just see these bowlers on a camera, but you can come down, experience them in real life. You can experience the atmosphere, you can be part of the atmosphere, and make it good for everyone. The group stages till tomorrow, they finish tomorrow, then knockouts and then finals on Saturday. So look forward to seeing people. And well, Tayla playing like that, she's certainly the one to look out for. When you on the form book on paper, she was potentially stronger, but she certainly pulled it out today. Put Cindy under a lot of pressure. Cindy arriving, or a little bit unlucky to find the gap there. So this game, one of the last games, it was a little bit delayed going on. Tayla going deep, holding 3. No point dropping 2 at the back if Cindy manages to get hold of it.
Yeah, Taylor's covered the respot position at the back of the rink, which is on the centre line. It's 2 metres from the ditch. We're playing one respot position in this event. You may have noticed some other marks on the rink next to them. Different formats of the game. We have either 1 or 3 respot positions in the sport that we can use.
Well played, Cindy. Yeah, it's interesting that you say one respot. So that in itself is a change from previous. So sort of, what's inspired the change? Do you know?
Not really. It's just an option in the laws suit different events, to suit different rink widths. If you have a side respot, you're going to need a little bit more space out on the side of the rink to draw to them. But either way, it's still a tactical position. The whole purpose of a respot position is to eliminate or to do away with dead ends, which are replayed. So it means that we can schedule games a little bit easier. We know that they're going to be a fixed length because the end has to be played to completion on a respot. So things are a little bit easier with scheduling, but it introduces a different level of tactic, and regardless whether the spot is out to the side or in the centre, they still need to be covered.
Yeah, I've not played a centre respot myself, so I've been trying to work out, and I'm not sure what's how it would affect my own view on it, as in, when you're trying to cover or vice versa, when you're in trouble and trying to do something about it. Because if it's two respots, so if you're on it, well, you potentially got two spaces to cover, so you kind of got to pick one or the other. Whereas one respot, well played, Cindy. Yeah, one respot. It's much easier to try and cover it. Then again, if it's already on the tee and somebody hits it, well, your woods that were there disappear and you're sort of left with nothing there.
Yeah, you're right. I think with side respots, you're playing offline to play a cover shot, and that introduces another level of skill. Generally, if you're playing to a centre respot, that's where you're bowling to anyway, because the jack is generally on the centre. So I think I'm not going to say a centre respot is easier to cover, but it gives you the natural drawing line.
So we've just got the scores up there for you, latest scores. Yeah, it's the same with every event. I mean, even when it changed from killing the ends to having respots, you've just got to adjust to the competition that you're in. Read your conditions of play, and you know what you're playing, and that's what you've got to do.
I think certainly with an event like this, multiple games, 6 sessions a day, 7 sessions a day even, of losing track. Over a week, there would be no way we would be able to schedule this if we didn't have respots and no dead ends. Just be impossible.
Correct, and that applies at any level. Well, I'm not sure if Cindy was looking to cover that or if she was just a bit heavy, but either way, it's a useful bowl. Tayla going forehand. Is she? She's a bit under the line, so has she got the weight to get there? No. So I can't quite tell if that was a draw that went tight or if she was trying to drag the jack but a little bit short. Same result. Still Cindy holding. So I mean it's 11-1 at the moment, just his final bowl to come. So we've just got to play the last couple of ends out.
Yeah, difficult for Cindy now. She's chasing shots. She's running out of ends rapidly, chasing shots, and Tayla doesn't need to try particularly hard, just covering big counts. We're just one end remaining now.
Yeah, so it's just about a bit of pride on this last end. think Tayla's won all of hers, so pretty much guaranteed to go through. It's the top one to go through. Straight to the quarterfinal, and the second places, they will be drawn out of a hat to see if they have to have a playoff to get to the quarterfinal, but one lucky person will go straight through to the quarterfinal. So top in your group helps your cause. So if you couldn't just read that score, the first set, Tayla won 10-2. Second set, currently 11-2 up. Just playing the last end now. Bit of coughing outside, sounds like an episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Other quiz shows are available.
I was going to say that's an old reference.
Showing my age.
Yeah.
Sorry, have I got to come up with a new line? Well played, Sid. Cindy. Well, I see Ali Marion just outside the goldfish bowl, and she says all I do is sit down all day. I know she says she's standing up and running around all day, but I can now say I've seen her sitting down, so can't claim she's been on her feet all day. I mean, that's at least 30 seconds I've seen her sat there. She's worked hard like all the volunteers. Many jobs. And same as any volunteer at any club, they're what makes the clubs tick.
I think this event, with Ali as the president of the IIBC, International Indoor Bowls Council, this event is a massive achievement to bring it to her own island, and it's been a huge success so far. This will be the last event in her presidency, I think. I think she finishes fairly soon.
Yep.
So a great way to end a fantastic year for her.
And it's partly because Ali was president that some members talked to council and said, it would be a good thing to do. Ali, obviously, as president, had contacts who could see if it was even possible before we looked to do it. And that's why Guernsey put the bid in. So just playing that, just finished that last end. That was 1 to Cindy. So 10-2, 11-3 to New Zealand. It's fair to say Tayla played really well, so well done to Tayla. That certainly put you on a stand as somebody to look out for. It's been great to have you listening in. And even better to have you
At least we get a week
join
off
us
the
in the
sleep
commentary, Alan.
after
Thank you,
tonight.
Ian. It's been a pleasure being here.
How are you
Enjoy the
guys
rest of your
going?
event.
So we'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the next event, which I can't tell you right now. Actually, I can tell you right now. It's going to be mixed pairs. It's going to be South Africa against Guernsey. So tune in from 8:30 UK time, and we'll catch up with you then. Bye for now.